Today's big question: why can't anyone use nuclear bombs anymore? It has been more than 75 years since the United States dropped the only 2 nuclear bombs ever used in an actual war. And yet, despite several nations developing their own nuclear weapons programs, no one has used them since. So why is it that North Korea, for example, can successfully test nuclear bombs, but they can't actually be used in combat? Well, there are a lot of reasons why, but in short, it all comes down to one: logistics. When most people think of nuclear weapons, they think of the mushroom cloud, the flash, the fireball. In other words, the visual spectacle of a nuclear blast. But the real destructive power of a nuclear weapon isn't the immediate explosion, but rather what happens in the days, weeks and months afterwards. A single well-placed nuclear weapon can wipe out an entire city, leveling every building, incinerating everything in its path and leaving behind a wasteland that's stuck in this state for years, if not decades. And even if you could somehow defend yourself against the initial blast and maybe even the heat and radiation that follows, you still have to contend with the lingering effects of the bomb's explosion. Nuclear fallout, radioactive debris from the explosion that remains in the air long after the blast itself is over, which contaminates the surrounding area and makes it stuck in this state for years, if not decades. And while a lot of people might assume that the reason no one uses nuclear weapons anymore is because of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, that's not really it. MAD is the idea that because both the United States and the Soviet Union had stockpiles of nuclear weapons, neither side would risk starting a war where both sides would be completely obliterated by using them. And while MAD did play a big role in ending the Cold War, it doesn't really explain why no one's used nuclear weapons since 1945. After all, during the Cold War, the US and the Soviets weren't exactly using nuclear weapons in combat, they were just stockpiling them. And even if MAD didn't exist, there are plenty of other reasons why a country wouldn't want to use a nuclear weapon. In the end, it all comes down to logistics. A nuclear weapon is essentially an incredibly destructive fire and forget kind of weapon. Once you launch it, there's nothing more you can really do but hope for the best. This is in stark contrast to conventional weapons where you have much more control over how and when they're reused. You can, for example, aim a missile at a specific target or drop a bomb on a very specific location. But with a nuclear weapon, you're essentially just trying to kill as many people as possible with as much collateral damage as possible. And given that the vast majority of countries aren't trying to commit genocide on a massive scale, it's unlikely that they'd ever want to use something like a nuclear bomb. Even countries that have developed nuclear weapons programs like North Korea and Pakistan have no interest in actually using them, because doing so would be an act of war. And that's something they're not prepared for, especially in the nuclear age. Unlike the US and the Soviet Union during the Cold War, these countries don't have the infrastructure or the resources to support an actual war, let alone a nuclear war. So while it may seem like the world is just one nuclear accident away from mutually assured destruction, the truth is far more mundane. The world is actually just one logistics nightmare away from mutually assured destruction. It's me. And if you want to learn how I make videos like these, let me know by tapping the link in the comments.